Hello everyone, welcome! Today I'm going to be doing a review on Tengoku Struggle Stray Side. Not gonna lie, I wish I had done this review like a couple of weeks ago, but life gets in the way, so it's better now than never. And hopefully some of you may have watched my first impressions video that I did years ago, and that maybe helped a little bit before release. But anyway, I'm gonna wait a little bit for people to appear, and then yeah, I think I've put it on Twitter and stuff. I know I'm supposed to start in like it. I always think I should plan this and like actually put it up on, you know, the scheduled page on YouTube and stuff like a week in advance so everyone knows it's happening. But the reality is it kind of, yeah, I don't know what it is, but if I set like an actual date a week in advance, it makes me kind of panic. I think it feels kind of claustrophobic or something. It's really weird. It's a bad trait of mine, but there's not much I can do about that. So hi Bedivere, welcome. Also, apologies in advance if I cough a little bit. I've still got a lingering cough from like a couple of weeks ago, so but it should be okay. Okay. Now let's hide my silly little face. Okay, got 7 viewers. That's good enough for me, I would say. I always want to start from the beginning because I know this is supposed to be like a review VOD and stuff later on, but I don't know. I don't know. I just like to make sure there are at least some people here, you know. Oh, also for those who do not know, I stream on Twitch 2 to 3 times a week. Usually like just random games. Sometimes it's Otome, but it's mostly normal games. If you want to come and hang out with me more often than my sporadic YouTube streams, then the link is in the description below, so go ahead, and if you don't have a Twitch account, you should totally make one just so that you can come and see me. Because it is fun when sometimes the conversation just ends up being taken over by Otome games, even when I'm playing like normal games. And some people are like, okay, I don't know what everyone's talking about, but it's kind of funny. Okay, right. Hi Mitsuki, welcome. Oh, you were just discussing this game. It's quite a fun one, really. Hi Kennedy. I think, yeah, it's the most recent release, so. Hi JJ, welcome. Don't worry, I've been waiting a little bit just in case. I did kind of schedule it for 9:15, so in theory there's 1 more minute, but I probably will just start. Like I was saying, you know, I should be scheduling these things so that people know exactly when it's happening, but like I really struggle with that. The moment I schedule something, I don't know, it's some weird like commitment issue or something, I all of a sudden like freak out. Which is why a lot of my streams are sporadic. I've only just started getting into the hang of, you know, actually having a strict schedule for Twitch. But anyway, let me. Oh, I just noticed you followed me, Mitsuki. Thank you. Yeah, it comes up on here. Okay, so as everyone who has just appeared right now knows, and the title and everything, I'm about to do a review on Tengoku Struggle Stray Side, which was recently released. It's available on the Switch. It's an Otome game, so yeah. And before I start, note that although I would not consider any of what I include in this video as spoilers, but I'm aware that what you consider as spoilers and what I consider spoilers may not quite align. So if you're even a little bit sensitive and you don't even want to know kind of like personality types, for example, then I'll swiftly move on. But anyway, let me start. So question of the video to kind of comment in below is, are you afraid of going to hell? Especially, you know, considering this whole game is based around hell. I would also like to thank those who have, you know, supported me in a variety of ways, whether it be, you know, being my patrons, whether it's donations or coming along and just viewing my content. I really appreciate it because it's fun chatting with you guys, and of course my server boosters. Now, oh, is that it? Yeah, okay. Oh god, what have I done? What's happening? Why is this not working? No, stop. Why does it keep on doing that? There we go. Okay. So, what is Tengoku Struggle? I'm going to quickly read off the blurb because I can't remember it. So the blurb is, it is year XX of the Reiwa era. Through an agreement between the human realm and the hell realm, Asakusa was transformed into a tourist attraction where the living can meet the dead. One day, the spider's thread was dropped from heaven down into hell, allowing many of the hell's prisoners to escape. King Enma thus orders his novice hell guardian daughter Rin to capture the escapees along the Goemon Ishikawa and a few other trustworthy prisoners. When they descend to the human realm for their mission, their investigation leads them to an event held by a former prisoner of hell, Shinobikuni, where she reveals a pardoning app that will forgive people for their sins. What is Shinobikuni's goal, and what will become of the humans who have promised entry into heaven? This is a story that encompasses heaven and earth. What fate awaits the world? So basically, the concept is, in a nutshell, you've got a bunch of prisoners that escape because when heaven drops down this like spider's web, whoever manages to grab it gets free access to heaven, which is like an extreme delight. And that essentially happened to a number of different people, and those prisoners escaped. And King Enma is like, okay, we need to capture these prisoners as a task for you, my daughter. I'm gonna ask you to, alongside these other prisoners, go out and find and capture these escapees, and it's all about that. They go to the human, you know, Earth, and yeah, they live their life and then try and capture, and it's all about that. Can't wait for more Otome games. I pre-ordered 9 RIP. I'm excited to hear about your thoughts on. Yeah, I'm excited about 9 RP as well. It'd be nice to have more people to talk to. Thankfully, I don't believe in heaven or hell. I know, but the question is, if you did believe in it, then would you be afraid of going there? Because, you know, it's more fun to answer imaginary questions. So, yeah, essentially, it does kind of, like, the vague gist of the game is like kind of, it gives off very shonen manga vibes. It's a lot more like comedy than tragedy. It's extremely slice of life because, you know, Ring and the prisoners sort of live together. They do a house share in the human world, and you see a lot of them like bickering or being happy together, living, you know, together. It kind of almost gives off sort of the found family trope that you see in Variable Barricade. If anyone's played that one, it because, you know, they're all living in the same place. The difference is Dean doesn't like men, the prisoners don't like women, so there's a bit of a conflict there at the start, which I do warn for those who might find it a little bit sensitive, because it can get a little bit extreme at the beginning. But yeah, no, tread through and you'll be okay. So who developed and wrote and all of that? The scenario writer is Katagiri Yuma, who also wrote Olympia Soiree. The artist is Satoi, who also drew Olympia Soiree, Oz Mafia, and Diabolic Lovers. And the director is Watanabe Wataru, who, funnily enough, is also the one that helped with Olympia Soiree. So as you can see, it's very similar to the team that made Olympia Soiree. I'd say the vibe is different, but you do kind of see some similarities, although I personally preferred Olympia Soiree a lot more. I guess it's just a personal thing, but I mean, slice of life hasn't necessarily been kind of my favorite category, if you know what I mean. So that could be why. And I prefer the like light, sparkly Olympia Soiree art. But for those who like shonen manga and more sort of, I don't know how to put it, more kind of energetic games, I suppose, as opposed to poignant. I think you'd prefer maybe Tengoku Struggle. I don't know. It's a very personal thing. I wouldn't say, you know, oh, if you like Olympia Soiree, you'll definitely like Tengoku Struggle, because they are quite different. It's just you do see some similarities. If found family is your favorite trope, you will love this game, Kanati. Torture doesn't sound fun, honestly. JJ, I agree. When I was playing this game, I was like, oh, you do that and you end up in hell? I really considered my actions. I always said if hell exists, at least I'll be with all my friends. I love that, Mitsuki. Oh gosh, if it's very hot in there, then yes, I am scared. Kanati, I can sort of relate. So this system is, the length is relatively on the long side. Like, oh my god, the common route, like it feels like the common route won't end in a way. It's kind of similar to, I guess Olympia Soiree had a long common route, so in that sense it's similar. I'm trying to think of it, like Code Realize had a long common route. If you don't like long common routes, then you might struggle through that part, because, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of long common routes personally, but I know a lot of people also, you know, are out there that enjoy it because you get to know the characters a little more before you go into their route, which is fair enough as well. But all in all, it took sort of 50 to 65 hours in total. Yeah, not just for the common route, because imagine a game where it's that many hours for the common route. No. 50 to 65 hours in total. There is one good and one bad ending. Personally, the bad ending felt more bittersweet than anything. So I think if you're scared of bad endings, and you know, typically you'll probably be okay with playing the bad endings in this one. And of course, there's a skip to next function, all of that stuff that you find in any OtomeArmada game. Now note that there were, in the English version, there were a couple of typos here and there. So if you're the type of person that it really bothers you, make note of that. Personally, I don't think it's it's not like machine translation where all the sentences are awkward. It's totally fine. Well translated all in all. If anything, I thought the localization was great, because the English version, I would argue, was better than the Japanese version. I mean, when, you know, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but there are some things that are said that in the English version sounds way funnier than the Japanese version. So, you know, if you can speak both languages, it might be actually quite fun to compare. But the English version made me laugh more. Maybe it's because I'm English and I get the English humor, so the localization worked well with me. It took me 65 hours to finish as well, so sort of similar amount of time. 50-hour common reading. Hi Marissa, welcome. Oh, dear me. 50 to 70 hours in total. Yeah, it's a really long game. I think a lot of Automate games typically take about 45 hours. I almost said minutes there. 45 hours. But this one was a bit longer. But yeah, typically like Otome games from Automate seem to take about 45 hours for me. Like 40 to 45, but this one was a long one. Now, let me go through the characters. So, the main character is called Ding. She's a man hater. At the beginning, you're like, oh, okay, fair enough. You really don't like men. Each their own. It does kind of make you laugh, but it might bother some people. She does have a very strong sense of right and wrong, which makes sense given she's a hell guard. You know, she is all about seeing who's doing the right things and who's not, etc., etc. She was literally just accepted, like she just passed the exams to become a prison guard, so she's very fresh. She hasn't done like a job as a hell guard quite yet, so it's very it's all new to her, which is why being given this mission from her father, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna make him proud and all of this. It's quite sweet. She's very thirsty, if you know what I mean. Where, you know, she'll say things like, oh, I wish so-and-so would touch me like he's touching that towel. Like, she'll be thinking things like that, which is quite different for a main character in a Japanese otome game. You know, usually they're quite reserved, but the things she thinks is quite refreshing and adds to the humor. She actually doesn't have any memories and was adopted by Emma, so part of the game you are kind of constantly wondering who she is. There will be little things here and there that kind of point to what kind of person she was in her previous life, but yeah, I like that because it keeps you going, you know, because you're constantly like playing, thinking, oh, what is it? Who was she? All of that. Hi, Sakura-do, welcome. She is pretty. I know, she is really cute. I like the way she looks. She wears glasses as well, which is kind of different. She needs HD. But it does like add to the humor. I thought it was quite funny. And I think it really fits the Western audience in that sense, because I think we're all very much more like, we find it more funny and relatable when the main character has like perverted thoughts, because I guess we're really human. I don't know. In Japan, we're all supposed to be very reserved. So anyway, I need to stop embarrassing myself. Next one is Kikunosuke. He's voiced by Saito Soma, who also voiced the what's his name again? Ives from Verge and Mineo from Color Malice. He's this kind of wolf boy that suddenly sprouts ears. It's kind of cute. He can turn into a wolf, and I think that aspect is used very well in his route. Those who have played this game will know what I mean. He used to be a master thief in his previous life, so I guess he's in hell for theft mainly. He's a gamer, so he's constantly gaming when he gets to go on Earth, which is quite fun. He's a sweet Tsun boy. He has even Tsun sprites, and you know, I really enjoyed his roots because, oh bless him, he's just so adorable. He was surprisingly good as a root, I must admit, because normally I'm not into the younger looking ones, because he does look kind of young, and you know, it isn't the trope I enjoy. But I was really surprised. I was like, oh, okay, I'm really liking this route, especially sort of midway towards the end, because pacing for some reason for all the routes was a little bit slow at the beginning. But his I didn't really mind so much. And he cares a lot about his sister, which is, I won't go into more about it because, you know, I don't want to ruin it for people, but that kind of comes into the roots as well, and it's sort of sweet watching him care so much. He was a really well done Tsun Wolfie. Hi, I bought game when it came out, but you can't force myself to play. Hope on your review make me. Let's see if I can get interested. Oh no, I totally get that, where it's really weird when the announcement is made. I'm really excited. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is such a fun looking game. And then when it arrives in my post box, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it anymore. It's, I don't know why. It's really weird. But anyway. Next one is Sharaku, who is voiced by Ishikawa Kaito, who also voices Dante from Pio Fiore and Lucien from Even If Tempest. So again, if you like those characters, you know, it's fun to know. He is very cheeky. He is a clean freak. Probably the most sensual route. I guess he's a lot more kind of, he gives off more mature vibes, I suppose. He's an artist, and but he does have a potty mouth and is a bit like a mum, and you're kind of, you know, the stuff he says, you're like, oh my goodness me, you've got such a pretty face, and yet the garbage that comes out of your mouth, oh my god. And in like every other route, he will kind of, I think he's teasing of the main character all the time. He teases her non-stop. He, you know, teases the couple in all the other routes. It's quite amusing. I do like him as a character. He makes me laugh. He even has a really cheeky looking sprite, and I think, I can't remember, I think his route was relatively angsty, but yeah, this is the weird thing about this game. There are angsty moments, and yet you don't really remember the angsty moments as much. You're thinking more about like the relationship between Ling and the character. I don't know. That's how I felt. I could be wrong. Other people may feel differently. But for me, I wasn't thinking so much about the plot afterwards, but more kind of, yeah, I was thinking more about, you know, the romance and how I liked how it was cute, that sort of thing. I want to support sci-fi, but then all the games pile up. I still, yeah, the backlog is never ending. The VAs did a really good job, and the lineup was very luxurious, to be honest. You know, when they released who the voice actors are, I think everyone was like, oh my gosh, there's so many of our favorites, you know, names that you recognize. He's not girly. If anything, I felt, weirdly enough, if anything, he was very like masculine, but he's a mum. I know that's really contradictory, but I think it's because he seems really reliable and strong and responsible almost, and that kind of gives off the more reliable male kind of vibes. But the way he's obsessed with cleaning and stuff is very mum-like, and you know, I find it quite funny, to be honest. Okay. Excuse my cough. Next is Yona. Oh, and he was my favorite character. Bless him. His route wasn't my favorite, but character-wise, oh, so adorable. He is a massive puppy that's also a himbo. That's a bit of a tomboy at the same time. And oh, I can't remember what Sharaku was in his past life. I think, oh, that's it. He was a womanizer, like an extreme womanizer, if I remember correctly. Like, I won't, you know, go into specifics, but that's kind of what he went to hell for. Yeah. Anyway, Yona is voiced by Suzuki Ryota, who also voiced Koyo from 9RIP, which is going to be released sometime this year in English, which is really exciting. He is a massive puppy, literally and figuratively, not the puppy part, the big part. He's a himbo as well, which makes him super adorable, and he is a tomboy. So if you like tomboys, you're kind of lucky, because this game has two, I suppose. And the Gappamoe is kind of like, oh my heart, he's just so adorable. He was a pirate in his previous life, so I guess kind of like killing and things was like what he went to hell for, and I guess theft as well. But I think, yeah, so he was a samurai pirate, which is a really interesting combination. He is a hafu like me, so I kind of, I can sort of relate in the being stuck in the middle, sort of thing. I mean, being, even half white in Japan can be a little bit uncomfortable at times. So although in his case obviously he was like an Edo period person, so he had he found it extremely difficult to be half white. It was, in some ways I could relate, and that made him, like, I guess, more a character I liked. Unlike what you'd expect him to be, he loves to read, which again is kind of a nice trait. I like men who read. It makes me happy. I don't know. And Dean comes across his books, and sort of that's a comedic moment in itself, one that I think everyone should look forward to. And of course, he gets the winner of Best Body. Now, there is a CG that's like total fan service in this game, where they're all like sitting there topless, and I'm telling you, your eyes will probably go to his body very first, because it's like boom, and you're like, oh, I don't know. Sharaku is baby girl. I agree, it's really, really good. Jack Down was great. I love it. Yona does have the best body. He does. I mean, the thing with a lot of Automate games is that the love interests don't have like actual masculine bodies. They tend to be a little bit more on the skinny side, which is fine, but I like fictional men to be a bit more on the muscular side, and sometimes I feel a little bit sad about that. So when he turned up with his actually masculine body, I was like, oh, hello there. Yeah, I love that he's ginger with freckles. It's so adorable. I love Yota. That's so exciting that he's getting more roles in it. So yeah, it's nice. I didn't actually recognize his name, but when he was voicing Koyo, I was like, oh, I see. So now I know. He is the winner of best hair for me. Yeah, he does look cute overall. Topless scene, let's go. Exactly. I think we were all a bit too excited when that CG popped up. It was nutrients to the eyes. Next up is Jack with a capital K. He's voiced by the much loved Furukawa Makoto, who also voices Alan Melville from Cupid's Parasite, and Yoritomo. I think that's his name. Yeah, I always get them confused because, like, Birushana, they all have like really similar names. I think it's Yoritomo from Birushana, a Rising Flower of Genpei. So if you like those two characters, you are luckily going to enjoy the voice of Jack as well. Now, he is a singer-songwriter. He's a bit cringy, especially in the common route and early on in his route, because, like, I don't know, he says things and you're like, ooh. I think that part of him is a bit of a Marmite. It's like very love or hate. But I guess you kind of get used to it, I guess. But he is full of mystery. Like, you don't really get to learn much about him during the common route either, despite its ridiculous length. And like, all you really see of him is like him popping up on the Tengoku Struggle equivalent of YouTube, being a cringy singer-songwriter, which is fine, but like, I guess it is kind of like that. You won't know him very well until you enter his route, so it is something to look forward to when you're playing the other routes, because you're like, oh, I really want to know about Jack. And it gets you through the other routes as well, because he only gets unlocked once you get the happy endings of Yona, Kiku, and Sharaku. Also, he makes amazing tea, which is always a plus. He adores cats again, which is always a plus. But his route did feel kind of like a harem route. Literally all the other characters are there, which is kind of cute. I did find it like fun and nice. But it depends on what your preference is, really. But it was nice seeing, the other characters being involved in all of the routes, because no matter what route you played, the other characters did make an sort of appearance here and there, which a lot of Otome games, you go into the route and then all of a sudden, for some reason, all the other characters disappear. Which this one, that didn't happen, so. Okay. So glad to hear it about the mum one. Because of him being pretty, I just got Rory, as recently I saw my friend couple post from RPG games and I answered with pretty woman. She and oh, okay. Must stop myself from googling CGs. You're spoiling yourself, Jay. Oh, I love him too. Definitely want this game. Oh, so you haven't played it yet. Okay. What are you playing right now, Marissa? Mr. Edgelord here. You're not wrong. T-Point seems interesting. Yeah, it's a bit of a gap, isn't it? You don't really expect him to, considering he's a bit edgy. Jack does have my favorite good ending after credit scene. Sorry, but when you say ending, I'm just thinking of that ending. I won't say what because it's spoilers, obviously, but there was a discussion about it on my Discord. Yeah, which was quite funny. Also, thank you for following me, Anti-Chime. It comes up on my thing, and the Prime sub. That's really sweet of you. Chuny characters are one of my favorites. Okay, so you're in for a treat then, Happiness, because he really is. Last but not least is Goemon. He is voiced by Yashiro Taku, who also voices Adolf Faye from Bush, and Rao from Cupid Parasite. I love Rao from Cupid Parasite, so I can't help with the smiley face. So I always feel like his voice is kind of gentle almost, which is nice. So he is the poster boy, as you can probably tell. He gets unlocked after playing Jackroot, so he really is like the final truth route. Also, I forgot to note that Jack is not a prisoner, so that's a difference from all the others. Anyway, Goemon is basically the Japanese equivalent of Robin Hood. After he died, people still spoke about him, and yeah, he's one of those infamous characters that I think that's kind of cool. I think Bing is unfortunately exceptionally dense in Goemon's route, though. There's constant conversations where you're like, oh, this is frustrating. So in that sense, it was kind of like, I mean, I didn't mind it, but in my Discord, the conversation about this did come up, and you know, there were some conversations about how frustrating it is. So, but he is truth root, but I did kind of like that they did a good balance between the truth and Goemon, because right from the beginning of the common route, you do see that apparently there's a link between Ding and Goemon, and throughout all the other routes, you're wondering what that link is, and towards the end, obviously, things get revealed bit by bit, which keeps you going in the route as well. So I did like that you'd still got to enjoy Goemon despite it being the truth route, because I do see that a lot of Otome games, the truth route kind of, I don't know, the poster boy unfortunately gets overshadowed by the truth. And you know, one of the things that stops me from fangirling and extremely liking a love interest is when that character isn't, you know, has less screen time than the other love interests. The less screen time they have, the less I can enjoy the route. So unfortunately, that's something that a lot of poster boys struggle with, which is probably one of the reasons why a lot of poster boys I'm not like that into. Fortunately, Goemon doesn't struggle with that, which makes him a more fun poster boy route, if that makes sense. And again, it's fun learning about each of the characters gradually. So those are the characters. Oh, may I just say that, you know, he doesn't win the best body award, but throughout a lot of the route, you do get to see his abs, and you get to kind of look at them like, oh, those are nice abs. So he is eye candy in that sense as well. Sorry, but this game is like such a thirst trap with all like the pretty bodies and like them being thirsty and all of that. So I'm playing Hakuoki Edo Blossoms and Hakuoki Kyoto Winds. I'm so like, oh my gosh, I haven't played Hakuoki Edo, like Hakuoki. I've only played 3 routes of Kyoto Winds. So I'm really looking forward to the fact that the Switch port is coming along, and you know, we get to enjoy it on Switch. I'm playing through Shelby's route in Kipipara and took a break from the common route in Code Realize. Oh yeah, Code Realize common route is infamously long. I hope you're enjoying Shelby's route, because that was my favorite in Cupid Parasite, I think. If I remember correctly, I think I found it the funniest. So many great Otome, I know. Oh, and Ratty Tail, I'm on Zephora's route. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I love Radiant Tail. It's one of my, like, it's up there. It's like such a comfort game for me. I don't know what it is. Which, by the way, if you're curious about what Radiant Tail is like, I do have a review, so go check it out. um, so So you can pick great tea or great coffee. Yes, he does make great coffee for everyone, and it's a great perk. And may I just say, it's really cute because some characters like a lot of milk and sugar in their coffee, and you're like, oh, that's adorable. I don't know. Also, where is my white head, guys? That's a good point. There's no white haired guy in this game. That's a really good point. You normally at least get like one, don't you? I want to force skip all the way to Goemon to get his coffee served. Oh, Cloudy. I kind of get that though. Sometimes it's so sad when, you know, love interests are behind a lock. But I also get it because, you know, his route is a truth route. It does reveal a lot of things. I love Raddy from Radiant Tail. He's my favorite. Sorry, I had to scream. I liked Raddy as well. I think route-wise, I liked Pashalia the most, but character-wise, right from the start, Raddy was my favorite. Goemon got them boob windows. He does. He really does. The eye candy will give us diabetes. Hi Cosmic, welcome. Yeah, we need the Silver Fox husbando. Yeah, we haven't gotten, you know, I do think that we're lacking in the DILF section in many of these Otome games. There is a side character that's a bit DILF-like, and you know, Daddy in this character, in this game, was a character that I wish was a love interest, but understandably he isn't because he is her stepfather, and that would be really weird. But oh, like the moment he appeared, I was like, oh god damn, why is he not a love interest? He's so my type. Now, recommended order. To be honest, I think, you know, I felt like the first three didn't really matter because this game does feel kind of like more a character game than a plot game. But the order I played the game was from the characters that I thought I'd enjoy least to the characters I like the look of most. So I went Kiku, the wolf boy, Sharaku, the long-haired one, Yona, the ginger one, and then Jack and Goemon because those two are locked. But after playing the routes, obviously, as someone who prefers playing like, you know, in my opinion, the most fun ones last, I wish I had played Yona, then Sharaku, then Kiku, because I felt like the pacing for Yona was, I don't know, I can't remember why, because like I always forget routes the moment I finish the game. I just remember that I don't know why. I feel like I just craved something more. I feel like I was spoiled by like the sexual tension in Kiku route. And then you come to Yona route and it wasn't quite the same level. It was a lot more wholesome, which if you like that sort of thing, perfect. But if you're like me and you wanted the same kind of tension as Kiku, then you might be a little bit like, oh. So yeah, I liked Yona character-wise, but route-wise not as much. So I went Yona, this is how I wish I had played the order, which is Yona, and then Sharaku, and then Kiku. So I enjoyed Sharaku and Kiku route. There is one CG in Sharaku that I think a lot of people will appreciate. So... But yeah, ultimately, I don't think it really mattered what order you played those three. Like, I don't know. That's personal, you know, and you know, there are lots of recommended orders out there. Otome Kitten always does one. So if you're really stuck, then obviously you can go to her review and then decide accordingly. But when I think about pacing of how slow the route was, I would go with Yona, Sharaku, Kiku. I think Sharaku was the most fast-paced. Kiko was a bit slow at the beginning, but then it suddenly ramps up towards the end. And Yona, I can't, like, honestly, I don't know what it was. I really don't know what it was, but yeah. Jack and Goemon. I think Goemon route, since it was a truth route, I think there was too much going on. I'm not gonna lie, but it was good learning bits and pieces. Jack route, he was an interesting one. That's all I'm gonna say for him. When side characters are better looking than the actual. I felt that when Daddy appeared. I'll add it to my long list of Otome I want to play. And note, Kanati, that they're like female characters that you'll probably be like, oh man, why isn't she a love interest? Because, you know, her sort of best friend character is adorable. And the leader of the opposing faction, so the leader that basically it is of the escapees, is like, oh, okay, you know. Excuse me, Lulu, where is Tamal in all of this? So we do have a character that's, you know, there is a mascot character that is basically Lin's best friend. He's this Hellcat, and he constantly talks about chewing off a certain something off of the of the prisoners, and it scares the crap out of them. But I really appreciated Tamal's, you know, appearance, in that when Lin was feeling really insecure, sad, or whatnot, he was there to comfort her, which I think, you know, there were moments in the common route where you do feel kind of sorry for Ring almost, and you're like, oh, there was a scene that I thought was quite, like, I got whiplash. I don't think, based on what people on my Discord were talking about, I don't think it affected many of them, but it, for some reason, I don't know, I found it really uncomfortable. I think I mentioned it in my first impressions video as well. Can see before, not enough VNs play, now not enough time. It's so true. Hi King Marshmallow, welcome. God, my voice is so annoying today. Hi Mariamu, welcome. So, who do I recommend this game to? I recommend this game to those who like shonen manga. Right from the bat, it feels very much like action, and, you know, even when the two characters battle it out, there's this like kind of cutscene almost where it's like so and so versus so and so, and it does put you in like the Shonen Jump mood, and so that was fun. I'd also recommend it to those who adore the found family trope. If you, for example, enjoy the found family trope of Variable Barricade, then you'll enjoy this one. They bicker, but they also get along. It's really cute seeing their friendship, you know, it's really sweet. It puts you in a good mood. So if you like that trope, you'll probably like this game. If you care more about fangirling over characters than a strong plot, because I'm not gonna lie, the plot, you know, there are some Otome games out there where I'm like, oh my god, what just happened? And I'll be like thinking about the plot for a while. This one, I'm not gonna lie to you, that to me wasn't the strong point. The strong point was more like, oh my gosh, Dean and this character, oh how cute, you know, and you get excited, and then there's some fan service like that one CG I keep on mentioning. So I felt like it was more character route. There were also some like plot elements that I couldn't help but question afterwards. I'm like, I think we need is that really what? Why did that get, what happened to this? What happened to that? Like, there are questions that you have that I think doesn't really help in that sense. So you kind of need to be able to shrug those things off. If you enjoy comedy and more light-hearted type of games and you're like this, it was very like a light-hearted comedy, that sort of upbeat vibe more so than angst. Like, there are obviously angsty elements where some of the backstories are quite dark, to be honest, but because of the light-hearted comedy parts, you don't feel kind of like, oh god, you know, you're not feeling all depressed as a result of them. It's more kind of like, oh, that's really sad, but this is funny. Like, if you know what I mean. And also if you enjoy slice of life, because, you know, it is Ving going into the human world and living with these boys and kind of like living her life while figuring out the, you know, where these escapees went and why they escaped and how to bring them back. So if you like slice of life, then this is a good game for you as well. It really is like that comedy slice of life with a bit of angst in the backstories, basically. I think we need a slide for mascot characters for Automate games. Okay, Fancy, I will take your criticism, constructive criticism, and from now on, if the game has a mascot character, I will make a slide for it, okay? You'll be very proud of me in the next review, whatever that may be. So I would not recommend it so much if you do get caught up in plot holes, because there are moments where you're like, wait, but what happened to this or what happened to that? Like, you can't help but question it. So don't expect like a perfect, like, oh man, okay, cool, and you're happy. It is that sort of game. I enjoyed it all in all, don't get me wrong, but I understand that some do get caught up with that sort of thing. And also if you get caught up by like little typos and things, because I know that yeah, some people struggle with like little I mean, it didn't affect the story. It wasn't like awkward machine translation, but I understand that some people get a little bit irritated, and that's fine. I also wouldn't recommend it those who are looking for something dark. Again, it's very light-hearted. If you're looking for something dark, I'd go for like Even If Tempest or A Verse Evermore, or, you know, something that's like gonna get you down, or Cafe Enchanté, I don't know, but not this. If you don't enjoy shonen manga, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but like I just include it in there just in case. If you don't enjoy shonen manga, then some bits of this may annoy you, like, oh, I don't care for this or whatever. If you prefer plot focus over character focus, then this may not be the sort of game for you, because as I said, it's more about fangirling over the characters and like seeing the romance and being all like, ee, how cute, that sort of thing. If you want something fast paced, I must admit, and I think it's weird, when this writer and director involved in making Automate games, for some reason, I don't understand why, but the pacing is sort of like kind of slow, and I think some people do like a slower pace in that, you know, you can really delve into the story maybe and get to know the characters, I don't know. But personally, I'm more of a fast-paced girl. I like to go straight to the point, so yeah, when this writer is involved, the games this writer has written, I must say there were moments where I'm like, yeah, okay, that's cool and all, but when's the plot gonna happen? If you know what I mean. So yeah, if you want fast pace, I would say maybe not go for this. I don't know. I think of Collar Malice as like a nice paced game, because I enjoyed that one without any sort of, oh, what's happening. I also wouldn't recommend it if you struggle with long common roots. As the title of this video says, Tengoku struggling through the common route. Oh dear lord. I was like, when's this common route gonna end, you know? And I think it's fun if you like the found family trope and you like, and I get it. It's to kind of establish the relationship of those characters and the world building, because may I just say there's a lot of definitions and terminology that you learn in this game. The very first playthrough, I think, maybe a little bit taxing for your brain. It could just be me and me being a simpleton. I mean, as I always say, I don't like using my brain. So, but if you like those details, then this is a great game for you. But if you struggle with like too much world building and like all of that, I get it. That's why the common route is kind of long. I get it. But yeah, for me it was a bit too long. And as I said, if you enjoy that, if you like reading about the characters developing and all of those sort of things, then this is a really good game for you. But if you are like me and you prefer fast pace, getting to the point common routes, then you may struggle with this one. So make note of that if you're thinking about getting this. Now, my overall rating for things is that the story was a 3 out of 5. I did enjoy parts of it, but as I said, there were things that didn't get tied up at the end, and I was a little bit confused, which is fine. I can just brush that off. But obviously, for the story to get a 5 out of 5, it needs to be like, you know, it needs to be really good. Characters, I'd give a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed most of them in that they had their personalities. I got a lot of fangirling out of them, so I like the characters. Music, 3 out of 5, because none of them really stuck in my mind. You know, when I was doing the dishes, I wasn't humming them, if you know what I mean. I think there was one that I enjoyed. Like, there was one background music, and I think it's when they're talking about serious things as a couple. I think that music was kind of solemn, and I think I liked that one. But again, when I say music is 5 out of 5, I'm talking about the music that it gets stuck in my head and I hum to it, like hum it, and you know, my boyfriend's like, what music is that? And I'm like, OTOME game background music. That's the sort of music that gets 5 out of 5. Unfortunately, this one wasn't so much like that. Opening music is good though. Art, I'll give a 4 out of 5. I do love Satoi art. I know I'm just basic like that. I like the popular things when it comes to art. Their art has always been like really pretty, but the reason why it's not a 5 out of 5, this is a personal thing. I personally prefer Olympia Soiree type kind of floaty, sparkly art, whereas Tengoku Struggle is very distinct compared to his is it he? I don't actually know what Satoi-san is. I'm just gonna go with they. But I know, how dare I not know what person Satoi-san is. But yeah, Satoi's art, I think with this one, they tried something different. So it's a bit more like strong lines. And personally, I prefer his more kind of like floaty ones. I don't know if I'm making sense. Like Olympia Soiree art, I always loved. Another thing is I felt like the CGs, I don't know, the background I felt like didn't have as much details as I would have liked there to be. I don't know if I'm alone in feeling this way, but that's why it doesn't get a 5 out of 5, because although the sprites were really cute and I love how, you know, they drew the couple together and all of that, it was just the backgrounds I felt were a bit plain for my liking, and it's not the style that I typically enjoy. But again, that's a personal thing, and it's, you know, art style really is personal. Like it's some things that people adore, I don't, and vice versa. So ILL, looking forward to the mascot slide. Gravy. Aw, thank you, Kennedy. I think it does solid and like I'd enjoy, but then again, I am the type to gobble stuff with attractive men. In which case, you'll probably enjoy this. The you know, love interests are all attractive, so I need to have a lot of free time going into this. Yeah, it is one of those games where it takes a long time. Thanks for bringing that out. Cloudy said the same thing. I feel like it might just be too slow paced for me personally. It's definitely something to consider, especially with how long the game is. I guess that's why a lot of OtomeArmada games are like 45 hours, which is, I think, is a good length, in that things happen at a nice pace, and you know, you know what I mean. I meant I don't mind. I don't like slow-paced ones, but I'd have to play to see. Yeah, no, definitely. I always wish there was demos for all these games just to get a feel. Saying that, I recently played Utakata no Yukuronia. Some of you may know what this game is, some may not, but it's the one with the really pretty silver-haired main character, and is like a not dystopian, I guess, but about her living in a higher up world when there's a lower down world, that sort of thing. And the demo is the common route, and I was like, so I pre-ordered this ages ago because I wanted to support the, you know, this new company's very first game. But if I'd played the demo and there wasn't that factor, then I may not have purchased it, because like it was just so much lore dump and kind of, I don't know, I didn't find it that interesting. But then the moment you go into the love interest route, all of a sudden things start happening. So sometimes I feel like the demo doesn't give it credit, or you know, the other way around can happen where the demo is amazing and then the rest of the route you're like, what happened? So it can be hit and miss, but it's still nice to have demos for this game. The art does look pretty, yeah. Sato went graphic art with this one. Exactly. They went bold art, bold lines and things, which, you know, that's a preference thing, really. Now, general thoughts on my final rating is that it had its fun moments. It made me laugh. There's one scene in Jagsroot where I think I actually laughed, you know, like I was like, type of thing. So, and then I look around like, okay, no one was watching. But so it had its fun moments. It was really cute watching them all together. They really nailed the found family trope in this one. I thought it was so cute. I loved it so much. It is a bit rough around the edges. Like I said, there are things that conveniently got resolved, or, you know, you're kind of like questioning how that got resolved and all of this. So, you know, in that sense, it's not polished and perfect. Pacing was a little slow for me at parts. Again, so many questions, and I wish there was like a fan disc of the characters' backstories and stuff. That would have been really fun, and a kind of maybe how things got resolved. Like, I don't know, I feel like it needs a fan disc. So I'd give it a 6 out of 10, which I know sounds really harsh, but it's because it's very much like, I like it, but there are a couple of, like, there are things that I'm like, they could have done better, if you know what I mean. So I don't know whether it's a game that I'd be like, yeah, definitely buy it, but I wouldn't be like, no, don't buy it. It's more one of those games I'm like, oh, if you're curious, yeah, like have a look at several reviews and, you know, maybe think about it. But yeah, it's not like I'm going crazy and making a huge fuss about it. It's one of those games, if that makes sense. So also, I forgot to note the what do you call it, how romantic I thought it was. So I say it's quite romantic in that you do see them fall in love and stuff and stumble along, and there is kind of like this a system where you see how much they know of each other and all of that. And there is a nice CG for each one where, you know, they're kissing and all of that. So it is romantic, but I must admit, because of the pacing thing, there were, and I think Satori is like, not Satori, the writer does this quite a bit in these games, because I experienced it with Nirado Mirari no Tenbin as well, where it all sort of happens in the final maybe 30% of the route, where they're plodding along, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know, they suddenly full pelt start liking each other and all of this. And that's why I'm sort of giving it a 70%, in that they, you know, you can see that they're in love, it's cute, there's like a nice kiss CG at the end. Note that there isn't much nudity or anything like that, so don't expect too much spice. One character does get a bit of a nudity CG, but the others, it's like fully clothed, so nothing like too spicy. Don't expect like Olympia soiree art, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's why it gets a 70%, because I do see the romance there, and the romance was the fun part, but it did kind of like happen within the last 30% of the route. It felt that way. But yeah, so those are kind of like my thoughts about the game. As I said, I'm not like, oh my god, this is amazing, but I'm not like, don't play it. It's really hard. I don't know, as all reviews are, I can only say what I personally experienced. I do kind of catch if it's a review that's made after the game is released in England, not England, the game is released in English. I sort of look at Discord comments and how people are discussing it, and I can sort of get the gist of how people feel about the game, but my review is primarily based on how I felt about the game. So, you know, to obviously take some of what I say with a pinch of salt, because it is how I felt about the game, and such. If any of you disagree with me, like you've played it and disagree with me, obviously you can say that in the chat right now. But yeah, personally I'd say a 6 out of 10, which sounds kind of harsh, but You know, I've got to be honest. Thanks for the review. As long as you didn't feel your time was wasted. No, I didn't feel like my time was wasted. I'm glad I played it. There were enjoyable moments. So, you know, it wasn't one of those games where I'd like force myself through it and go, oh, my life, that was such a waste of my time. It wasn't one of those. In fact, there aren't many Otome games that I feel that way, but I mean, I would tell you if I was like, this is crap. But anyway, that kind of ends my review of Tengoku Struggle. And now you can see my silly face. I like how you gave it a 70%, but a 6 out of 10. The 70% is like the romance percentage. I'm glad you enjoyed this review, and hopefully it does help people kind of get a vague impression of it, you know. Thank you, Lily. Was waiting for your review. Aw, Cloudy, thank you. But yeah, I think I am interested, but it's not on the top of my list. Yeah, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's and the comedy is quite funny, you know. I think that was a great review. Aw, thank you. Oh, and remember to go and, you know, follow me on Twitch if you want to hang out with me more. That would be nice. I like the YouTube streams more because, well, it's hard. The Twitch streams are more fun in that I can play whatever game I want. But I enjoy the YouTube streams in that there's a lot more conversation, you know, because the Twitch ones, I don't get as many people coming to them, so, which kind of makes sense. It's less, I started on YouTube, so. Tama contributed like 75% of the... He was adorable. I found him so cute. But his voice was weird though. I don't know. I didn't expect him to have such a weird voice. I thought he'd have like a more cutesy voice because all the other mascot characters I can think of all have like really cutesy... I guess they don't really talk though, do they? My favorite will always be Komame from Winter's Wish, though. Oh, my heart, especially when she jumps onto Yoichi and you get Yoichi sprite with little... Oh, my heart. I can't deal with it. I follow you on Twitch, but I am so bad at getting on there to join the streams. I mean, it's understandable. We all have our lives, you know. I like both YouTube and Twitch streams, but gotta admit Twitch is comfortable to use. Oh, okay, so in that sort of sense, you prefer Twitch. That's interesting. Aneki! Aneki! And it's funny because yeah, they often use kind of not the actual names of, you know, apps, but like fake versions of names, like Whack Donald's. I mean, this is just an example from manga I've read, but I think so in Japan there's a snack for cats called nekochuru, but in this game it's called nyao. Is it nyao furu or nyao churu? It's like a little bit different. I've seen a lot of cat-like mascots with the old members. Yes, thank you for the review. Very informative. I'm glad. Thank you for the compliment. I'm on Twitch basically because of you, but now I enjoy it. Oh, I see. And even started watching other stuff there, so it is handy. I'm not really much Nyaofuru. Like, I love the mascots with old man voices. Yeah. Oh gosh. I love how Fancy's like, no, it's Nyaofuru. I must admit I struggle with watching other people's streams, not because they're boring, but I guess I get fidgety for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. But anyway, that kind of concludes this review. I think I quite enjoyed that one. It turned out okay. Normally I have to practice a little bit before the stream. It's funny because I'm like practicing on my own, you know, before I I start the stream. But this time I think I didn't even practice and it went okay. So I'm a bit proud of myself. Maybe I'm getting used to streaming reviews. But anyway, thank you very much for coming to watch this review. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Come to Twitch if you want more streams. And again, thank you. And hopefully I will see you again. Bye.